The ideal watch is not only practical, but also stylish. All Rolex watches share a few characteristics. They are constantly stylish and sleek, and they are built to last. Here are the top 10 most iconic Rolex watches of all time. Hi there, I'm Megan, and welcome to our channel. If you're new, please subscribe and tap the notification bell to be updated for more upcoming videos like this. So let's get started. First on our list is the Oyster. Despite early attempts to place a finished wristwatch inside a second waterproof case, it wasn't until Rolex unveiled the Oyster in 1926 that such a watch became a reality for consumers. When the Oyster was originally displayed in a fish tank at Rich's department store in London, hundreds of people were left speechless. The fully dry watch made headlines when Mercedes glides to swam the English Channel while wearing an oyster on her wrist as part of what is maybe the first advertorial that gave rise to the Star Adventurer's watch ambassador. The dry watch kept an excellent time while immersed in water. 3 innovations that guaranteed the Oyster's waterproofness included a screwed-in crystal with a threaded bezel screwed on, a case back, and a screwed-down crown. The early bezel's fluted design is still a prominent aesthetic feature of contemporary Rolexes, even though its screwed bezel has since been removed. All modern dive watches use the same fundamental waterproofing method, and in the Rolex vocabulary, the word oyster has come to mean a case that is resistant to water. The Datejust is the second. Early in the 20th century, timepieces were the first to incorporate a date mechanism. The Datejust invention, which allows it to modify its date display virtually quickly, even though it took many hours to change the date wheel around midnight, has been well received by users ever since. Although it has seen several alterations over the years, it is still the same watch that is easily recognized. It's difficult to disagree that the Datejust fluted bezel and large date window magnifier are among the most recognizable features of any watch ever created. What individuals truly adore about the current date is what they have adored about it throughout time. It is versatile enough to use for work, leisure, and socializing, and it is durable enough to wear continuously. The Datejust symbolizes Rolex in many ways by fusing technical innovations, durability, and traditional style in proportions that feel natural and, as a result, are just perfect. Third, the Oyster Perpetual. Although there were early 1800s patents for automatic watch movement winding rotors, Rolex patented an improved design in 1931. The renowned Oyster Perpetual wasn't released until 1950. The case back on these watches had to be fairly deep because Oyster stood for waterproof and Perpetual for automated winding. The name bubble back was given to these early operations. Similar to bumper watch rotors, the Perpetual rotor revolves 360 degrees back and forth before striking a spring-loaded stopper in either direction. Despite only winding in one direction, its mechanism initially had more power than bumper-driven movements, and its sturdy approximately 35 hours of reserve power were created by the mainspring, which is an excellent benchmark even for mechanical, auto-winding movements. Rolex started offering Oyster Perpetuals with the titles Air King or Explorer on the dial to aviation and climbing enthusiasts in the middle of the 1950s. The Rolex Oyster Perpetual is still one of the most significant and traditional sports watches ever produced, and it is available now in a wide range of sizes and designs. Fourth, the Submariner. Whether it is a vintage or brand new, this watch is arguably the most recognizable and sought-after timepiece ever. It was based on the waterproof, automatically wound Rolex Oyster Perpetual watch. However, the rotating time bezel and improved gasket system set the Submariner apart and made it scuba-friendly. In the 1980s, Rolex began making solid gold and two-tone Submariner watches for a new generation of yacht club visitors who wore their tool watches with preppy clothing. By the time the Submariner gained popularity, no serious diver was donning a mechanical watch. As they say, the rest is history. 5th, the GMT-Master. Pan American Airlines temporarily held a monopoly on transatlantic flights after World War II. The airline requested a multi-time zone palace watch from Rolex, leading to the creation of the GMT-Master. The GMT-Master was Rolex's retort, with the addition of a 24-hour hand to the center arbor and a preset 24-hour timing bezel. Pilots can now keep track of local and GMT. During World War II, pilots were heroes and role models, and the majority of commercial pilots in the 1950s had military experience. International visitors who admired these pilots immediately adopted the GMT-Master, but it wasn't readily accessible to the general public until the 1960s, when tool watches started to be worn more frequently. The watch was produced in 1989 with a new movement and thinner casing, while the GMT-Master's third generation was launched in 2007 with ceramic bezels and a much more advanced movement with a suite of the latest improvements. Despite not being as well known as the Submariner or the Daytona, the GMT-Master continues to be a fan favorite and as a result is extremely difficult to obtain, particularly in all steel. 6th, the Milgauss. It's unfortunate that when we think back on the 20th century, we don't automatically see engineers and scientists as heroes. However, we should, and if we did, we probably would be happier with a Rolex Milgauss. The daredevils who genuinely wanted a magnetic watch were imprisoned in labs that were typically off limits to the public, secretly obtained their funds through government research grants and contracts, and scarcely became well-known individuals. Because of this watch is frequently ignored in the Rolex collection. 1000 Gauss is referred to as the Milgauss. The original magnetic rating was an engineering marvel that deserved all the praise it never got. In 2007, it was brought back with a new case and a lightning bolt seconds hand. The all-steel Milgauss isn't easy to find in stores, but it's not impossible either. 7th, the Daytona. The name Daytona on the dial was the watch's most distinctive feature, but that was it. Rolex had been popular since the 1940s. Oyster casings were used to house third-party chronograph movements, and their larger, more modern chronograph with stick hands had been readily available since the early 1960s. However, Rolex began sponsoring automobile races at the Daytona Beach Raceway in Florida in 1962, and a year later, they added that famous phrase to its cosmograph chronograph, which resulted in the creation of a legend. Considering that they originally cost around $400, Daytona watches weren't exactly inexpensive. But in 2017, Paul Newman's Daytona broke the record for the most expensive watch ever sold, when it sold for $17.2 million. Since then, finding these timepieces in any metal is now almost impossible. But it's particularly challenging to find a steel Daytona these days. Before revealing the last 3 iconic Rolex timepieces, please give a thumbs up if you're enjoying this video so far. And also, watch until the end because there's more that you should know about the top 10 most iconic Rolex watches of all time. Also, do you want your comments to be highlighted? Try our super thanks, and your comments will be highlighted in this video, or join our membership program. Moving forward, next was the Day-Date President. The first waterproof chronometer grade automatically wound watch with a day and date display was the Day-Date President. It was one of the more elaborate timepieces coming out of the Swiss industrial watchmaking factories at the time, with the top of the dial carefully planned to spell out the entire weekday. Even while it may not seem significant now, it was at the time. In time, more Americans began donning it, greater number of presidents than any other watch, earning the title of President. With its 5 rows of crowned links that reflect light from all directions, the President bracelet is very impressive. People with Day-Date flashing on their wrists were typical of enormous power and stature. 9th is the Sea Dweller. The watch was designed for the extraordinarily lengthy and deep dives that professional divers, explorers, and researchers were doing. Being able to maintain pressure at a depth of 4,000 feet was no laughing matter in 1967. The Sea Dweller temporarily held the record for the world's deepest-going watch in 2007 after receiving a revised water resistance rating of 12,800 feet. On the wrist, it looks like an enhanced Submariner, which is exactly what it is. Others find appeal in the presence and security of this larger, thicker watch, while the unfathomable depths to which it can withstand speak volumes about the history of the human invention present in these tiny marvels. This timepiece demonstrates Rolex's dedication to ocean research, which the corporation actively promotes through its numerous science initiatives. Small submarines, cameras, and other scientific instruments that are exploring the depths of our largely unexplored oceans can benefit from waterproofing and tiny wristwatch technology. And last but not the least, the Sky Dweller. It may be visually stimulating with its bright and sparkling fluted gold bezel, 42mm case, and incredibly unique dial configuration. No other Rolex conveys a message as strong and assured. The Sky Dweller, on the other hand, stands out because it is distinctly Rolex and delivers one of the finest values for a very sophisticated watch on the market today. The caliber 9002 contains one of the most ingenious complications in contemporary watchmaking and is housed inside an oyster casing. It drives a complex annual calendar that shows the date and the 12 markers that surround the dial to denote the months. A special 24-hour timing ring serves as both an AM/PM indicator and a GMT reference time. But what sets those countless displays apart is how cleverly they are arranged. To choose the function to be configured, spin the bezel to various locations. Then, using the crown, modify the selected function, similar to setting a digital watch, but done here with complete mechanical delicacy. And that's the top 10 most iconic Rolex watches of all time. I know it's unusual to witness the long-term popularity and iconic status of so many watch models. So please let us know if any of these watches caught your attention in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. This was Megan. Please subscribe, like, and share this video. Now, are you aware that there are mind-blowing facts you don't know about Rolex? Well, if you're curious, click and watch the next video here.